Welcome back for round 3 of Theory of Knowledge. Today we're going to look at knowledge questions. How do you know what you know? Why is it important? In our last round, we looked at knowledge claims, kind of our base material as far as I believe this, I know that. And now let's start to question whether or not that's really true. So, knowledge questions. In that not all knowledge claims are necessarily equal, and they are going to have to fight in this universe of ideas. So different cultures will possess different beliefs they trust and live by. Is the knowledge of one culture in equal value to mine? Not necessarily. Not all knowledge claims are equal. They need to be evaluated to figure out if they are justified. Is that a good belief? Is it justified? And knowledge should be valid. It should be well-grounded. You need some evidence if you're going to believe in that thing. You need some proof. Is slavery justified in one society and not another? No. These knowledge claims are not equal. And so the big idea here is a knowledge question. This is an open question that explores an issue of knowing. And some of the big questions that we're going to analyze, such as what is knowledge? How do we claim to know a thing? To what extent questions are probably the most common in IB. They pop up a lot, and that they're helpful to determine how useful a piece of knowledge is. And it helps us look at the scale of a thing, as far as instead of it's black or it's white, we're going to say, no, it could be somewhere in between. And let's talk about how useful that knowledge can be. And there are questions about each facet, each area, a way of knowledge that we can play with, as far as what counts as evidence for a thing. What makes a good explanation for something? How do we judge the best model for this? How can we be sure of it? How does theory L mean in the real world? And how do we know it's right to do a thing? And so for any of this, we're going to debate, we're going to fight, and break down these knowledge questions and claims. So first of all, if you need to know the ways of knowing, the way to know anything, you're going to use any of these 8 pieces. And throughout our course, we're going to study 4 of these in depth. And we're going to have a kind of a passing knowledge of the rest. But 4 of these we're really going to know. And so the 8 ways to know a thing, according to the IB, includes language, sense perception, emotion, reason, imagination, faith, intuition, and memory. And altogether, this is kind of how we break down things, how we can know a thing. Next round, we've got areas of knowledge, or AOK, and these are the branches of knowledge that have a distinct nature and different methods of getting knowledge. And so these, in some ways, these are kind of like your class subjects, but they approach how to know a thing a little bit different. And that the mathematical way of thinking is going to be a little bit different than the artistic way of thinking or the ethical way of thinking. And so it's the same idea, same ways of knowing, it's just a slightly different approach, and they're going to have their unique vocabulary. And so there are 8 areas of knowledge. We're going to focus on 6. So we're going to really know 6, and we'll have a passing knowledge of the other 2. So this includes mathematics, the natural sciences, the human sciences, the arts, history, ethics, religious knowledge systems, and indigenous knowledge systems. And finally, the knowledge matrix. So this is a network of intersecting ideas, beliefs, and facts within which new knowledge arises and develops. So it's kind of this another way that we're going to question things further and see if there's connections between them. So for any question, for who are we talking about? For who is this true? Is my truth your truth? On what grounds is it claimed to be true? Do you have good evidence? Does this knowledge claim cohere with or contradict knowledge claims that are already believed to be true? Am I being reliable here? To what extent does society rely on this claim to be true? If this is wrong, does everything go to fall apart? To what extent can I rely on this claim being true? If this claim is wrong, is my whole life gone? What are the consequences of accepting that this claim is true? Do I have to give up other things? If I believe A, do I have to give up B? And what differences does it make whether I regard it as certain or not? To believe it as true, do I have to be absolutely certain for it to be my truth? What are the consequences I might face if I don't accept the truth of this claim? Is everything else going to fall apart? Am I going to be an outcast of society? Hey, what can happen if I start to resist? And so that's a bit on knowledge questions.